All right, so let's move to this somewhat more hopeful story. We know that stage 5 power cuts kicked in this morning at 6 o'clock. It's a slight relief, but we will take it. It's a possible sign we might have a brighter weekend. Many South Africans who have the money, or at least the credit lines, have already put alternative energy options in place: solar panels, gas geysers, inverters. Many big businesses, of course, have done the same, and that is already helping to ease the pressure on the constrained grid. But in Cape Town, big steps are being made in wheeling. Now, wheeling is the process where excess power created by one private company can be sold to another private entity, but using the grid. And we're joined now by the Mayor of Cape Town, Geordin Hill-Lewis. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. You and I have spoken quite a lot about this in the past. What is happening this week that is so significant, or what has happened this week that is so significant regarding this wheeling process?
We've made a bit of history. Good morning, Sally, first of all. We've made a bit of history this week in that we have had our very first electrons flowing through our grid in South Africa's first successful up and running wheeling pilot project. Now, we know there may have been some informal and technically not registered wheeling happening, but this is all by the book. This is at significant scale. It's being properly metered, and for that reason, it is quite historic.
So, talk to me about the companies involved.
We've had Growthpoint Properties. We know Growthpoint, one of the biggest property companies in the country. They own lots of properties around Cape Town. And exactly as you said in your introduction, when you've got a big property in one part of the city and you might have space for a whole lot of excess solar panels, you can actually wheel that to your other properties that you own, in this case, Growthpoint around the city, or indeed you can wheel it to third parties, to entirely different companies or users. And you can sell that across the grid without us really being involved. You use our grid infrastructure and you pay us a small fee for a wheeling fee. But other than that, the deal is between the two of you. And that really allows lots of businesses in particular to really help themselves, protect themselves from load shedding, and of course lowers the entire grid demand for everyone else as well. So a really important step forward.
And I understand it was Growthpoint's Constantia Village shopping centre that had the excess energy, and that energy was wheeled through to some of their properties on the foreshore in Cape Town, but it was using a company, I think, called Itana Energy. Are they the sort of the technical people who make it all happen? What is their role?
Yeah, they provide the solar power infrastructure and do the actual power production, but just using Growthpoint's roof space. So increasingly, we're going to see companies with large roof spaces use it as a kind of asset and start to sweat that asset. Every large roof space in our city should be covered from corner to corner with solar panels, and there are companies out there hunting for that roof space and to make use of it, as this company has productively done.
So talk to me about how it works. I mean, if there's a need, is it during load shedding that it typically happens? How long does the wheeling continue for? Can you wheel electricity across and then it's stored perhaps in a power bank at that particular establishment?
Yes, the receiving customer can do whatever they want with that electricity. They can charge batteries, they can charge up inverters, they can use it during load shedding. They can really do whatever they want. I'm very excited to see how companies in our city come up with different applications for how this power can be used. For example, another few companies that are live on our wheeling pilots are some Amazon and some major data centers from around the world. They desperately need clean energy for their investors. Their shareholders demand that they be powered with clean energy. They can now buy some of this power and be entirely powered by clean energy, even though they are still in South Africa and still in our grid. So it's very, very exciting what this unlocks, and I hope that our pilot is going to run for a few months, and it is now live. But once it's once it's open, I'm sure that it will be taken up very, very widely indeed.
So were there any glitches?
So far, none that I have been made aware of, but that is the purpose of the pilot. It is technologically complicated, and it's very important to get the billing absolutely correct. You've got to make sure that the meters on both sides are reading exactly what excess is being produced at one building and what is being consumed at the other building. And of course, even a tiny error here or there can magnify into very large amounts, given how much electricity these businesses consume. So that is the purpose of the next few months, to make sure that it is all running absolutely smoothly, and then we open the doors for anyone to do it.
Now, give me some more details on the billing. I mean, does it work out more expensive? In this case, it was Growth Point, one property wheeling to another of its properties. But let's say it's to a third party. How does the billing work? Does it work out more expensive?
No, theoretically it should work out cheaper if you're using solar power. Of course, if you're adding batteries to it, it might add additional costs. But the point is that the company makes a determination as to whether it's worth it. They're not paying the city for the power. They're paying that producer, in this case Growth Point, but there are many others on our pilot as well. Growth Point was just the first to get their electricity flowing. So we've got 8 producers on our pilot and 40 customers, and they decide for themselves what the price of that power is going to be. They pay us a small percentage for using our infrastructure, using our grid, and that's part of the costs as well. But if they are just doing solar power, just getting renewable energy, generally that's much cheaper than Eskom already. Of course, if you are adding the cost of battery storage, it may work out to be a premium, but they will have, I suppose, done the sums that it's still way better to have the power than to not have it, and so definitely worth their effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already seen how just individuals putting solar panels on their roofs, that's taking some pressure off the grid. I would imagine this has the potential, if it can be wheeled out, pardon the pun, across the country, it could really have a huge impact and create huge relief for Eskom, possibly even put Eskom out of business to some extent. But talk to me about how quickly this can scale up now. So it seemed fairly seamless with the first company wheeling across to its other properties this week. How quickly can it scale up? What's your time frames?
I'll come to the time frame in a second, but I do just want to make an important point. Increasingly, foreign investors, wherever they invest around the world, their facilities have to be powered by renewable energy. That is a requirement of their global shareholders. Even South African, old South African companies that we are all familiar with, like Old Mutual, their facility in Cape Town has to be powered by renewable energy, because they're a global company and they have a majority global shareholding, and shareholders and banks around the world are increasingly demanding that you have this renewable source of power. So this makes a big difference. It helps load shedding. It does all of those other good things. It also makes Cape Town much more investable for global businesses, because if you're trying to set up a data center, if you're trying to set up an international office, you can now wheel 100% renewable power, and your business, your building can be completely renewable powered. And that is a huge value add that I have heard personal feedback from the market over the last few days, that this is going to be a big plus for them. Now, on timelines, we are going to run this probably for, I would say, 4 to 6 months, probably until the end of the year, just into the start of the new year, to make sure that we're 100% comfortable with the billing procedures, with the metering, and then it's absolutely our intention to open it up to everyone. So at the moment, we've got 8 producers and 40 customers. And my expectation is that number, both of those numbers, producers and customers, will grow rapidly.
All right, so from the beginning of next year, we may well see many businesses in Cape Town that have their own power supplies wheeling it across the city. What about other municipalities? Are you sharing what you've learned with those other municipalities? Are you taking them along for this ride?
Yes, I've seen other cities have said that they are preparing to go live with wheeling. I worry that if they are doing so without making 100% sure that the billing and metering is done properly, that they could cause a financial catastrophe, either for themselves if they are losing money, or for the customers. When you're dealing with electrical bills running into the tens of millions each month, even a 1% error quickly adds up. So you've got to make sure it's absolutely right. So we are, as I think we've discussed before, Sally, my approach is to be totally open source. We want everyone in the country to benefit from these advances. So if anyone wants it, they are welcome to have it. They're welcome to come and see what we're doing, as other municipalities often do come here on an almost weekly basis to check on what we are up to.
Well, fantastic news, and let's hope it just gains and grows from here. Thank you so much. The Mayor of Cape Town Geordin Hill-Lewis talking about their very first successful wheeling project. Wheeling, of course, moving power generated by one private company to another private company. In this particular case, it was Growth Point Properties. The Constantia Village Shopping Centre generated extra electricity. It was wheeled over to some of their properties on the foreshore of Cape Town. Do stay with us, plenty more still to come.